You're welcome back. Expect some more analysis on that sports story. Now, Executive Director of the Salt and Light Ministry, Joyce Aye, is urging the incoming NPP government to ensure continuity of projects undertaken by the NDC administration when President-elect Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is sworn in into office on January 7. She was speaking in an exclusive interview with Joy News in which she shed light on happenings including the violence that occasioned the aftermath of the 2016 elections and blames the media for exaggerating these occurrences. There's more in the following interview with Joy News' Emefa Eni Etiama.
Hello, welcome to Joy News. My name is Emefa Ewenam Atiamwa Eli. It's the new year and we are still in the festive season. Guess what? We are bringing this special conversation your way. I have with me Dr. Joyce Rosalind Aye. She's the Executive Director of the Salt and Light Ministries. What's more, it's a new year. Have you given up already on the past year? Is there any cause for you to hope for the future? She will do just that for you. Relax as we have this conversation. Welcome to Joy News, Ma'am.
Thank you very much, MF. I didn't realize your name was so long.
Anyway, how are you?
Oh, the Lord is good to me, so I'm well.
I can see it all over you.
I would love to have more sleep, but
really?
it will come. It will come in the new year.
Sure. So we just finished a general election.
Yes.
Would you give us your impression so far? How did it pan out for you?
Actually, my own anticipation was that it will pan out well.
Okay.
I didn't think there was going to be anything untoward.
Okay.
So even though people hyped the issue of possible violence, well, because of the vitriol that accompanied the electioneering. I mean, it was really an electioneering that was, you know, how shall I say, it was full of acrimony.
Okay.
But I knew that as Ghanaians, we would want to do the right thing. Some of us were apprehensive and afraid, but I knew things would work out well.
Do the right thing, as in our attitude towards...
Yes, I think on the day of elections, usually, most people, let's say 99.9% of Ghanaians will do the right thing.
Okay.
Those who would want to actually be physically violent will be very few.
Okay.
Now, that does not mean people would not be vigilant, because we need to draw the line between being vigilant and being violent. So actually, I had great hopes that things were going to pan out well. Okay. And I'm glad they did.
Okay. Do you think there was something informing this desire to behave well? Is there any cause for that?
I think that people had talked about it a lot.
Okay.
Peace songs were being sung, peace concerts were being done. People were preaching peace, you know. So I think it...
So meaning all of these things worked?
I think they did work.
Okay.
I think they did work.
So
and I think that, I mean, to the credit of the political parties, they also told their people to stay on the straight and narrow. And I think that too helped.
Okay.
Yes.
I see. So generally, everybody liked it, just as you are saying it, that it was peaceful.
It was peaceful.
Yeah, it was peaceful.
It was peaceful.
But the aftermath, the violence we heard about at certain places...
I think that was exaggerated.
It was exaggerated. By who? The media, political parties?
You know, you people in the media, you love bad news. You know,
you don't blame us. That's what sells, unfortunately.
But don't sell us what is bad for us.
Okay.
You know. So I think there may have been overexuberance and maybe some kind of vengeful retaliations. Okay. But I think it was grossly exaggerated. You know, especially since the elections seem to have gone the way of the majority. I think most people, even those who didn't voice it out, wanted some kind of change. And after they got it, it would seem a little of an anticlimax or a bit of contradiction to get what you want and then to go out of your way to rise against it or something like that. So, you know, I wasn't expecting that people would be overtly violent.
Okay.
I did expect that a few people, you know, some people cannot bear being teased. Some people cannot bear it at all.
And it's not easy losing an election.
You know, and it happens when you're playing football.
Okay.
I mean, if somebody would weep and not eat, because the team has lost, then you can imagine what would happen if their political party lost. So I think, you know, on the occasion, it's not everybody who will not eat when a football match doesn't go their way. So naturally, it wouldn't be everybody who would want something violent when things don't go their way.
Okay.
So we saw what is the general Ghanaian attitude. You know, the losers would be very upset.
You think they managed it well?
What else could they do? You know, what else could they do? The victory for the other side seemed so overwhelming. So overwhelming.
And they were calling for it earlier, much earlier before the EC came out.
I think that what else can you do than to put your tail between your, you know, your thighs and then limp along.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before the much anticipated announcement by the EC, the president,
I was on tenterhooks myself.
the president had come out to what we say conceded, accepted the results.
Only a few minutes before the
Only
time.
a few minutes results. How did that come to you? Were you expecting it?
Well, if what we were hearing from the media, including Joy, you know, I remember somebody said on Joy that it was mathematically impossible
to change,
you know, for the sitting
results,
president to win.
Yeah.
So when somebody says it's mathematically impossible, then you anticipate that
it's a done deal.
It's a done deal, you know. So naturally, you would expect that. So I expected it.
Okay.
I expected it. And this is really the tradition in political circles. That's the tradition. You know, we have seen it in other places, in Africa, and then in the US, in the UK, and so on. So, yeah.
So finally, the change Ghanaians have been clamoring for has come.
Yes.
Any expectations of the incoming administration?
I think they're very high expectations. I think they're very high expectations.
Okay.
And I'm anticipating that they will manage it. You know, because, for example, I would like to take one of the things that they said during the electioneering campaign, one village, one dam.
Okay.
It wouldn't happen in a day. Even if a shovel is put to the ground, it will take a little time. But the thing is to let people see that you are doing what you said you would do. And not just as a way of scoring political points, but that genuinely. I expect to see a lot of genuineness in the way things
so
are
for
done.
you'll be watching them closely on that manifesto
and I will not be watching cynically or critically, you know, in terms of just criticizing. I think I would do a lot of critiquing. When you're critiquing, you see both the good and the bad. And that's what I'd like to see. I think that I would like to see things from the perspective of what is good for Ghana, you know, and I pray that, you know, the level of goodwill that has come would enable them to put some kind of spring to their steps and do the right thing.
Is the one district, one dam, the manifesto promise that stood out for you? One village.
No, it's not the only thing that stood out, but I'm talking about in terms of implementation. Perhaps the easiest thing to do would be the one constituency, $1 million. Because if it is going to come out of the capital budget for the country, then doing it will not be difficult. I've even got some ideas myself as to where to find it.
That's interesting. And I'm sure they'll be running to you. They'll be running to you for some.
I'm not saying it so that anybody will
They've
run
heard
to
you
me.
already. You said it.
I've got some, you know, some interesting ideas, you know. Because really, $275 million for a nation is not much.
Really?
No. 275 million for a nation is not much. So I think that it is possible to do it.
Why do you say it's not much?
It's not much in the sense that every nation has access to some funds, you know, and the funds that you get, you know, you can easily raise 275 million. Because I think from what I have heard, You know, the capital budget of Ghana is $1.something billion. If it is, then taking 275 million out of it
is not much.
Is not much.
Okay, so the losers also had manifesto.
Yes.
Anything in there which you think is good enough for this administration or incoming administration to incorporate?
To tell you the truth, I didn't actually hear things that were going to be done. It seemed as if much of the talking
by the losers,
by the other political party, don't call them losers.
They are losers. How else would you describe them?
The party that didn't win.
It's either a winner or a loser.
That didn't win.
Anyway, I understand.
You know, I didn't hear much of what they were going to do. I think I heard more of the projects they have done. You know, I didn't hear anything. But then, believe me, I didn't read any of the manifestos.
Okay.
I didn't study, I should say, I didn't study any of the manifestos. What I heard on the campaign train is what I have talked about. One side talked about the one village, one dam, one district, one factory, you know, that kind of thing. One constituency, $1 million.
So
it's stuck.
Okay.
It's stuck,
unlike the others.
You know, unlike the others.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the outgoing administration already has some projects that are ongoing.
I hope they will be continued.
Yeah, that's my point.
I think we have come past the era where a government should refuse to continue a project because the project is good for Ghana. You know, if it's a road, it will be used.
So in this case, which of them would you say that for this particular one, they shouldn't forget, they shouldn't ignore?
Which one is that? There's so many.
Mention one.
What are you trying to do to me?
I am not. I just want to know.
What is it that has been started that has not been completed? I'll take the Rich Hospital because we are told that it's phase 1.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So if there's a phase 2, it should be quickly done.
I see.
And if there's a phase 3, it should be quickly done. I'll take that one. I'll take
what
that
about
one.
the 200 senior high schools?
I would like that to be studied properly.
Okay.
You see, because I think that we need to build schools to ensure that the children have not only places to study, but teaching and learning tools, teachers. You know, you have to focus on teachers because it's not just the building and the children who will go into it. Have you prepared the teachers who would go and teach there? You know, so the issue of ensuring that teachers who said they had finished and they haven't been employed will be something that will be dealt with as we consider the importance of having more day secondary schools and placing the day secondary schools within a kind of radii that would really make it possible for children to go there without the added logistics of always going to find a bus, going to find teachers who will live nearby. We really need to plan this properly. You know, so I think it's not.
You think they have not been delivering on that? Because I heard in their when they were touting their achievements, they made mention of recruitment of more teachers. They made mention of expanding more technical infrastructure, all of that, just to make these resources and tools available for the smooth academic work.
They have to, you know, because the thing is that we may also realize that we can expand existing facilities. For example, I know Achimota School, you know, you can take in more day students, but you'll need to expand the facilities, more classrooms, more teachers and so on. Accra Girls is centrally located. Accra Academy, centrally, located in such a way that beyond boarding you can create if you go to Cape Coast, there are a number of schools also, Adisadel, Infantsipim, you go to the eastern region, the Kukrentumi schools and so on. So there are existing schools that can be expanded to actually take in more day students
Okay.
without always building new ones.
Okay.
Of course, where the place is remote, you want to make sure that it's not just a day school you put there, because you also want to make the children able to stay in a place where access to classroom work, prep work, and so on, you know, facilities to study. Because if you're building around a village where electricity is a problem and so on, and you can do a boarding school where lights and so on will be there, the children will have a nighttime prep time. It is a lot easier than going back to their villages where they'll use candles and so on. Maybe they have to walk long distances and so on. So I think that we really need to do a significant study of the development landscape in Ghana and see where we can make learning at the second cycle level easily available to people.
My name is Emefa Ewenam Atiamwa Eli. You're watching Joy News. Dr. Joyce Rosalind Ayi is the Executive Director of the Salt and Light Ministries. And she's been giving us comments, her views about how the elections panned out and what we can do going forward. Is there anything you think the new administration can do to spiritually unite the nation? You are very spiritual.
Yes. One of the things that stood out throughout the campaign of the new administration was their reliance on God. And my prayer is that it wouldn't just be a campaign mantra, but a real relationship with God and a continuing reliance on Him. A lot of pastors also spoke about the importance of voting and getting a new administration. Now, as those of us in the spiritual realm, what we need to do is to continue to actually reach out to the many people who come to our churches.
Which is the pastors?
The pastors.
Okay.
About the fact that change starts with us, individuals, our attitudes. What is our attitude to work? We can no longer work with mediocrity. It won't bring value to this country. We can no longer work with the attitude of this is not my father's business. It's government business. So the way I do it doesn't matter. You can't do that.
Okay.
We cannot continue with the attitude of I must get something for myself. This corrupt mentality, you know, we should not do that. And where else can we learn these better than within the church and other spiritual places where we talk about a God who is righteous?
Okay.
Now, if we belong to a God who is righteous, then the least God expects of us is that we too will be righteous. And this is something that we need to preach a lot.
Okay.
So I am hoping that this new administration will actually continue to rely on God. You know, everything you hear them saying, or at least you heard them saying, was that everything we have done has been by God's grace, has been by God's power. This is a divine thing. You know, God doesn't walk away after elections. In fact, He stays
He's still around.
right put, you know. So that's what I'm hoping to do. And I'm hoping that they will deliberately work with the churches to unite us. Honestly, we need to be united.
Okay.
I think the nation has been polarized for far too long. And we need to be united. You know, whatever we do, we are Ghanaians. Yes, we come from different places, but the beauty of it is that our differences should enrich us. It should enrich us rather than divide us, you know. And that is what we should be talking about. That, look, let's use our differences to enrich us. When you come to the crux of the matter, though, as Ghanaians, we have the same values.
Yeah.
We have the same values.
Understand.
The value of respect is the same, whether you are going to Bumprugu or you're going to Salaga or you're going to Akachi, or the value of respect. The value of hard work is even more in our villages than we find in the urban areas. They believe in hard work, you know. The value of truth telling. You know how when we are growing up, our parents remind us that we should tell the truth because it is important. This is also a value shared by all of us. So we should look at these values and realize that, frankly, we are not different.
Yeah.
We're the same people. Even though your name is Emefa and my name is Ayoko, you know,
We are the same people.
we're the same people. We're the same people. We must grow that. And I'm hoping that institutions that have been set up also to do this will draw us closer when it comes to, let's say, the civic side.
Okay.
You would find NCC. I don't think they should wait until we are
an
having an election
year.
before they tell us that when you go, put your thumb there, or you know. I think that they should be talking to us about our civic duties,
Okay.
a sense of responsibility, truth-telling, hard work, and so on and so
But
forth.
talking about the NCC, they've expressed concern about a number of challenges for which they are unable to do what you are asking them
Yes,
to
that
do
they are not
now.
well resourced.
Yeah. So can you really blame the...
But I think they should be well resourced. You know,
Okay.
You know, when there isn't enough money to go around, you need to know how to get your bit of it. You can't just sit down and expect that it will be brought to you. And then you need to find creative ways. I am sure corporate Ghana and other individuals who run their own businesses and so on would love to be a part of civic education. You know, I mean, look at how the media is sponsored through adverts and so on. Why can't NCC also find
do
creative
that?
ways?
So it means they are not doing...
Well, I
a
wouldn't
lot
say
of their
that. I don't think
approaches-
they are not. I think they can do much more than that.
Okay.
Because if you want to go up and talk about, let's say, the civic duty of integrity, there are other institutions and individuals with companies who want to be seen to be promoting integrity. And they will put in a bit or so. So you're going to a school, they may decide to do your printers, may decide to print your flyers for you or something like that, you know. So I think there should be creative ways of engaging the
These
whole of
corporate-
Ghana,
Okay.
the whole of Ghana, you know,
To get them to do
to
what they
get
must
them
do.
to be a part of what they are required to do.
do.
Yes, because after all, they're supposed to reach out to all of us.
Sure.
So it's not a question of coming to us and telling us what to do, but also engaging us and helping us to know what we need to do, including even being, you know, school children are very good at spreading the news. And we really need to be working with them. You know, they'll go home,
Yeah,
your
and
son
they're
will come
smart,
and tell
yeah.
you that, Mama, you should not put the garbage here.
Yeah.
You know, my teacher said, you know, the teacher becomes more important than you are. So you can get the schools, teachers who buy into this whole thing, and then they will be teaching their children and so on and so forth. I'm sure there are a lot of printers who will be willing to print things for us and so on, near gratis.
Doc, I said, let's go back a little more to the spiritual aspects. Before the actual election and during the election, a lot of men of God and pastors, especially in this case, were criticized, I mean, negatively for identifying themselves with one political party or even predicting a win ahead of everyone's expectations. Do you think these things that they did in any way took away from their ministry and their reputation in the country?
You see, when you are a servant of God, you're supposed to say what God says you should say.
Okay.
You know, and that is very important. And so if they felt that they were saying what God said they should say, we cannot criticize them.
Okay.
We ought not to criticize them. When you read the Bible, the prophets of old sometimes spoke, you know, really critical things about
don't
kings
forget,
and governments.
Ghana is not just one religious state.
It doesn't matter.
It's a
It doesn't matter whether it is multi-religious or so on. You take what you want to take.
Okay.
You know. Yeah. So we read from the Word of God that God is interested in the affairs of nations, and whether we like it or not, He will raise people to speak about these things.
Okay.
Yeah, some people predicted winds and so on. Indeed, they have to answer to God. If God didn't tell them, and they spoke, they will have to go and answer to God. I would not like to be the one insulting them.
Okay. But you can't also fault the one who is critical of what you are saying. Like I said, it isn't all of us who are Christians, so I may not understand what you are saying.
No, but you don't have to
insult.
And I can't tell. You don't have to insult.
Not insult, criticize.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
You can, in fact, you can even say that even if God has told you, find a way of telling those who need to hear.
Okay.
You can say that. Okay. But don't forget also that we live in a free nation.
Okay.
Where you can, you know, free speech is part of what we have.
Okay.
But this is also, I hope, teaching us as a people some lessons. Too many of us are just following our pastors, you know, uncritically.